start with a little bit of your journeys into the world of veganism. Now, long-term listeners will know we've had Jodie on before talking about the amazing Nero the Bull book, which we were selling on the Bloody Vegans podcast website as well for a while, which was awesome. But it would still be a great refresher to have a little bit of your story, Jodie. But Billy, as you're new to the show, it'd be awesome to hear your journey. Let's kick off with you, Billy, and then we'll go back to Jodie.
Yeah, so my journey with veganism started in my late teens. I'm 56 now, so I've been meat-free for about 40 years. And then veganism happened when I was about 19. Some vegan friends of mine took me to a dairy farm and to try and convince me that I didn't need dairy. And of course, you arrive there and everything's idyllic. There was very kind farmers who loved their cows very much, and beautiful home with wisteria and pollinators and lovely dogs, and everything felt terribly idyllic. And I wondered why I needed to not have dairy. Very quickly, it became apparent when I thought the day couldn't get any better. They said, "Do you want to see the nursery?" So into the nursery I went, and that was it for me. I think my face said it all. And when I asked the farmers how you made baby cows drink water, and they replied, a welly on the head, i.e. holding the baby's heads under the water, that was it. From that moment, I was part of the V gang. Do you know what I mean? There was never going to be any difference. And I was 19 then, so whatever. Yeah. I'm no good at maths. So yeah, that was it for me. I came home and yeah, it didn't matter. You know, like people say, oh, it's a great time to be vegan. It's always been a great time to be vegan. Back in the day, there was very little processed food, so you ate all the right foods. You know, no vegan cake, like everywhere you go now. Yeah, vegan cake. So actually, it was a brilliant time to be a vegan because you just ate the right things. So there was no hardships, never has been, and actually, a few years later, I managed to have the pleasure of being on holiday and bumping into a co-founder of the Vegan Society, Arthur Ling. And when Arthur told me about his struggles for vegans during and after the war, you actually felt, no, you'd never whinge again. Do you know what I mean? About not being able to get, like the substantial meal you wanted. You just have to have chips and salad. So that's really my journey.
And then there's a book.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I haven't shut up about veganism since, if I'm honest. You know, it's the old joke, isn't it? How do you know someone's vegan? Because they tell you, and it's so true. So from then on, I've always, I know not everyone wants to hear the fact that we say I love animals, but I've always loved animals, and that led me to Justice for Animals. That led to the start of, I've got 3 animal projects. The one is where we are today, which is the Retreat Animal Rescue. I've got Earth Dragons Dog Rescue, and I've got the Flair Foundation, which is an animal amnesty for travellers. So slowly but surely, the vegan thing grew bigger and bigger and bigger. And each day I open my eyes, I want to go further and faster for animals. So now I write books to bore people about veganism. And so I'm just on my 3rd book now. So just trying to show people there's a kind and compassionate way, but actually we can still all laugh and have a jolly, great life along with it, you know. So yeah, so for me, that's the way forward now, and I'll never stop talking about it.
And I've got to say about Billy's book, and I'm not just saying this because he's my mate, but I literally couldn't put it down. It's like, if you didn't care about animals, you would do by the time you'd finished it, because it's just got that link that just makes you connect. Both Earth Boy and The Animal in Me, the second book, they're just really educational, kind of open, really heartwarming, really kind of, I mean, you know, you'll just end up loving animals when you finish reading it. Both of them, they're just fantastic. I really love them.
Yeah, that was the point, really. I wanted to write books that people read from start to the finish. I didn't want to hit people with a stick, so people say, I'm not reading this. I wanted people to laugh and go on the journey with me and think, yeah, anyone can do this. You know, it doesn't matter who you are. we can all do it. So yeah, that's important for me.
And I think that Billy's book will help so many people who are thinking about kind of, what can I do to help animals? What can I do to rescue animals? What can I do? I haven't got an animal sanctuary, but the points and things that are made in there are just fabulous. And it talks about so many things that we should be doing to help animals, and why aren't we? And it's just a real eye opener. I really love them. And then so we came to talk about doing a little mini documentary about petting farms, because there wasn't a lot of people out there talking about petting farms, and we wanted to kind of raise awareness of children's petting farms and what they're all about as well. So yeah.
As we're there, it'd be great to talk about the documentary. Can you just tell us a little bit about, you've mentioned a little bit about how it came about, but just give us the story. How did it come about? How did you get it shot? All those kind of things. What's the story that we're telling here?
We shot it ourselves at the retreat mostly, and it came about because Nero, the brave little bull, was from a petting farm. And we wanted to raise awareness because a lot of people who are vegan, who aren't vegan, from all walks of life, weren't aware what a petting farm is and how that kind of works. So we put this little documentary together, and it was kind of very short, but it got the point across of what happens to animals when they are on petting farms. So they're, all these kind of sessions that they advertise for lamb feeding and calf feeding, and we've got all these masses of baby animals, and then the people aren't really aware of what happens to them after that. So we kind of put that across in the gentlest way that we could to educate people, and it kind of worked, didn't it? It was just...
Yeah. Absolutely. He's brilliant. All credit to Phil as well.
Yeah, Phil shot it.
Because we're in front of the camera and he's behind, he's doing all the hard work. We do the easy stuff. We chat.
Yeah, we did. We did. Yeah. So. Yeah, but we just did a kind of little mock-up of, animals and how they are, the aftermath of the petting farm, so to speak, in the fact that they are often recycled. So when they're no longer profitable or cute and cuddly, they're then replaced with new baby animals and that kind of ethos. And that, we'd much prefer people to come to places like the retreat or any animal sanctuary or animal rescue to take their children rather than a petting farm, and kind of helping to fund that whole process.
Yeah.
And putting it into somewhere that does, really good work instead.
Yeah, it's that horrible thing, isn't it, about befriending those tiny babies. Makes it even worse that how we're going to betray them in the end. It's just it's bad enough in the farming industry where people are not interacting and being kind to animals, but at petting farms, all sorts of people showing kindness and love and gentleness to them, and to actually be betrayed at the end of it all, it just seems worse to me.
Yeah.
And someone who saw the petting farm video said, I hadn't realised it's just like pimping out baby animals. And it's so true, isn't it? It's just like, that's it, for whatever money you're going to get for this, but with no fault of the overall damage. So, yeah, horrid.
Yeah.
But I think, again, you have to tell it, you have to put your positives in there as well, don't you? Because that's what you're great at in front of the camera. You can create those positives where people will stay engaged and watch it, and that's what you want. You don't want people going, can't watch that,
Yeah, and I mean, we shot scenes of kind of the animals all being petted and then going into a trailer. And there's a particular goat here called Sid, and he was just the greatest actor ever. He's used to the trailer and he's got little treats, and we kind of like smoke screened it to look like it was a petting farm and to get that message across. But he was fabulous. He just did everything. He loved the limelight and all the attention. He was fabulous.
He knew his lines.
He did.
He knew his lines. So yeah, brilliant.
And what's the response been like?
Actually very positive. I mean, you'll always get, you'll always get mixed opinions on things. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but it was actually really positive. A lot of vegans came and messaged me and said, oh my goodness, I've taken my children to petting farms. I didn't realise this is what happened. Thank you for highlighting this. And, you know, Billy's knowledge is just, he's like an animal Bible. So having that in there as well. And they were just grateful for kind of the message being put out there. And I think, you know, it was shared more times than I can imagine that it would have been. And it's just really great as well, because it's nice that kind of Nero now has a voice, and he's, through our little documentary, has told everyone. we got natural sound effects. Nero's kind of told everyone where he came from and what happened to him.
Yeah, I think the documentary, so you got the rescue of Nero, then came then came the book, and then came the documentary, and it's like the pieces of the puzzle. It's kind of opening the next door, the next chapter, if you want to speak, for people learning. You know, I know so many kind people that still go to petting farms, and you know, and they actually pay as well to go in, so they're paying, and also those farms will get money for those animals. So it's like it's so terrible, but there are all sorts of centres that don't do this to animals, free of charge. You can go and visit and watch animals live long and happy and respected lives. And I think that's what the video does, isn't it? It tells the difference. It tells good people this is a wrong thing to do. So
yeah, and you know, like Billy said, there's kind of other places to educate children about animals. This little barn that we're in now is the new one for the retreat, where people hold talks and education sessions and all different kinds of things where people can learn things. But the documentary wasn't about the finger of blame. It was just to try and put the message out there, because we can all learn things. There's lots of people who do things that they don't know. So we can't criticize people when they've not been given the information and not been educated about stuff. So
yeah, we're all on a journey.
Yeah,
we're all on a journey, and you just need to keep opening people's eyes to all those different aspects of that journey.
Yeah.
I was going to ask about the response from not just non-vegan folks, but also from vegan folks. Have you had any vegan folks who perhaps were surprised themselves that maybe they were early on in the journey and hadn't realised that petting farms had this sort of darker side to them?
Yeah, I mean, we did a story time with Nero's book festival earlier on. Was it last year? It was last year. And there was actually a vegan lady who came up to me with her children and asked me about Nero and where he came from. And she was mortified because she didn't know. And I think we have this preconception that vegans should know everything. And I think that's probably not the greatest way to look at things, because like Billy said, we're all on different stages of the journey. So some people, you know, might go to circuses because they think that when the circus is finished, the elephant is like hopping around the field behind, and they don't know these things. So it's just about helping each other and growing the community and growing the education and growing the information so that we've all got awareness of as many things as we can.
Yeah, I saw this thing this week where some people were having a debate about good zoos and bad zoos. And I think that's how people see petting farms. People see petting farms as there's good ones and there's bad ones. And actually, if you, I'm sure there's a sliding scale of welfare, better welfare conditions. But actually, if you're that little baby animal, if you're that little Nero, actually, there's no contest. You'd rather be with your mother in an animal sanctuary. You know, there's no doubt about it. And I think people think petting farm, it's very misleading.
Yeah.
There we go, to love animals, and no one asked the questions. There's never no literature to say these animals are here for one season and they go where all the other animals go. So in a way, vegans included are under the illusion it's like a mini animal sanctuary.
A mini animal sanctuary, yeah. Especially when Easter comes and they have all of these lambs that they're feeding. And to the outside, it's look like, well, we're feeding these little lambs and we're paying to help for their welfare. So it's quite misconceiving. There is an image that I saw recently, and you can compare it to one at an animal sanctuary. So one of the animal sanctuaries that I've been to, they have a cow and the baby calf underneath feeding from its mother. And in comparison, the petting farm has the cow and it fills it with milk from the top, and then the children squeeze the teats in a bucket underneath, which is completely not how things work. So the education is kind of a little bit misinformed as well, which is why we wanted to put this out there.
As we're here, and some folks who are just listening may not be able to see where you are, but it'd be great to. And they've probably heard some sound effects from our friend, but it would be great to tell people a little bit about the retreat, the setting that you're in right now.
Okay, so the retreat is a farmed animal sanctuary. It's based in East Kent. So it's open to the public Thursday to Sunday, 12 to 4, so 4 afternoons a week. And basically, it's the gates are open. It's free of charge, and really, it's the gates are open for one reason, and that's to educate people. We realise we're not naive enough to think that we could save every animal, so we get the gates open so that people can come in and meet animals. There is a vegan cafe. There's several vegan shops, including a vegan supermarket. And then you can trail around the centre and you can go and see the happy animals in their enclosures. There's also some domestic animals, and there's a wildlife hospital on site. So it kind of ticks all the boxes for anyone in the local area or further area that needs help with an animal. So animals that live at the retreat are cows, including Nero, sheep, pigs, goats. And then we've got all sorts of poultry. We've got some exotics. We've got some rears. And then we have disabled aviaries full of British wildlife, some ponds, aquatic. What else is there?
Everything.
Yeah, there's a big, massive fox hospital. Yeah, so it's pretty much it's trying to do everything we can for the people within a radius to help any animal that. There are some animals we call the specialists in for, so badgers, bats, and deer. We will go out and rescue them and bring them to the centre, and then filter them to the more specialised people. But that's really what's going on. There's ample parking, there's plenty of parking, and there's holiday lodges, there's a veterinary practice, free neutering for all charities. So any charity doing any animal rescue charity, they can bring all their animals to our centre free of charge. They get sterilised, microchipped, free of charge. So there's a lot going on for a little place, a lot.
Yeah, but it's a very happy place. And actually, on the way here to do this podcast, we picked a bird. We found a bird on the roadside, which I handed to Billy when we arrived here. It was sitting just below the curb. Thought it had gone actually, but I picked it up and it looked like it'd been attacked by a sparrowhawk. So I arrived with a bird held here because I didn't have a box at the time. Just drove 100 miles holding this little wood pigeon, and he's now here as well. So it's just a happy place. But yeah.
And that's the other thing. It's a 24-hour centre. We try not to encourage people to use it as a 24-hour centre, but it absolutely is for anything that's found in the middle of the night, injured or not, stray. For instance, recently, wait for this, at 1 a.m, there was a woman in a regular car in the car park asking for help, and she had in her one vehicle, she had 30 rabbits, 16 cats and 9 dogs that she'd had a house fire.
Oh my.
She could keep them. That's at 1 a.m. and we had to find places for all of them. So yeah, we try not to encourage that because there are times when we want to go to bed and, but yeah, it is a 24-hour centre. So usually you can get someone on an email or a text message, not always on the phone, because those people who have the rescue phone may be doing something with an intake that's just arrived. So we try and get people to message the centre.
It's just a fabulous place, I think, and I myself have learned so many things since coming here, and it's a great place to bring kids to learn about animals as well. And so, you know, there are kind of places like Animal Aid that have I think there's a list, really extensive list of sanctuaries, which the retreat is on as well, where you can take children to educate them about animals. Because I think, you know, the cruelty of manipulating children to manipulate animals, because they're easier to manage once they've been around children and they trust and love, and then where they go when they leave the petting farm is just unthinkable, really. So yeah, we're supposed to be at the camp out hopefully this year, vegan camp out, doing a petting farm talk. So if anyone wants to ask any questions, just ask us, because we want to stop them. Well, not stop them, but yeah, you know, try and encourage people to go to better places.
I also just realised we didn't mention that there's a lot of horses and donkeys, ex-working horses and donkeys that live at the centre as well. That was the other bit. Yeah. There's a few of everything.
I was going to ask you, how do farmed animals typically come to you? How do they end up being rescued and end up at the rescue?
So for pigs, sheep and goats, it's pretty much I would say about 70% are stray animals. There are those percentage of other individuals who rescue them from the meat industry. We actually even have, wait for this, one slaughterhouse that contacts us when they're non-commercial animals. So a non-commercial animal is, so if it's a slaughterhouse that's killing, for instance, sheep and cattle, and you drive in there with your pet goat that you no longer want, and this happens, would you believe it? That animal is non-commercial, so they can't go into the food chain. The slaughterhouse will kill them, and then basically those animals either go to like a zoo, pet food, or fertilizer. So cattle are very, very different, because cattle have full traceability from birth to death. So quite often you won't find a stray. I'm not saying we haven't found a stray cow. We have over the years had several stray cows, but it's not a normal thing you would do, because even if you found a cow with no ear tags, you could probably locate the field that she come from in nearby areas. She would look the same as the cows. So cows come very, very differently. Generally, I would say probably 80% of our cows have been gifted in by the actual farmers, because they're either sick, very sick young, or they're worn out. I mean, you never get an old cow in the farming industry, but they will have been worn out. Or you'll get wonderful people like this one sitting next to me, who made it her life's work to make sure after meeting Nero that he did not go to the abattoir. And and that's all inspiring for me, because I just, you want to meet more people like Jodie and Phil every day, because everyone tells a story. Every animal tells a survivor's story. So birds are very, very different. We get chickens and ducks and geese and turkeys from all sorts of places. Stray, on motorways, on housing estates, you name it.
People have left them at the gates as well.
Yeah, I mean, this happens quite a lot. I think last year, I think we had 10 goats at different stages left in our car park, our visitors' car park. So yeah, I mean, this is, sometimes you'll get a call in the middle of the night that there's a sheep in the canal, and you'll go and you'll bring her home to nurse her, and hopefully she survives. Sometimes trading standards who are visiting a particular farm, and the standards are very, very poor, almost neglect, will ask you to step in and help. So yeah, there's all sorts of ways that animals actually come to the centre.
But they're very lucky when they arrive here.
Yeah, and actually animals, the most amazing thing about farmed animals, I suppose all animals, but I know about farmed animals, is how forgiving they are. So it doesn't matter what they've been through. They will learn. It's very rare that you'll have an animal for the rest of that animal's life that won't learn to love you and care for you and be kind to you. They're very forgiving, especially cows. Cows are particularly forgiving.
It's really sad about the whole industry, really. So
yeah,
the work is incredible. But as you're talking, I'm thinking that how do you do it? How, in terms of like the financials, in terms of the people required, there's a lot of work that goes into that. How is the sanctuary run? What's the kind of what do you need ultimately from us in the community to support?
Yeah, well, it's a really, really good question. And it's one of the reasons why I started writing, because I get to meet a hell of a lot of people, and people will massage my ego all the time. But actually, I am a very tiny, tiny little bit of this place. I mean, there are... So writing the books, first of all, I want to pay homage to the people that have been with me from the beginning, who are no longer here, who have made the retreat what it's like. Jodie and Phil. Jodie does days at collection rather than have a coffee at work on a Friday and things, and turns up with hampers. I mean, the people that are involved with the retreat, I am blessed. I have and not just an incredible team on site, I have an incredible team of friends who never forget us and supporters. And every day of their lives, because it's like big money, you've got to raise £1,000 a day. That's without veterinary costs, which sometimes can match that. You can have month after month where that's matched in veterinary costs. So there is an amazing team of people that the retreat is in their DNA, and from the moment they open their eyes in the morning, they're like, what are we going to do to help the retreat today? And I said recently, and I think it kind of sums it up, that I feel like, those Viking longboats, I feel like I am the longboat, and underneath there's like 1,000 people rowing to keep the place going. And they're the people, the rowers, they're the people that need to have the credit. I just stand here and talk to people and welcome people in. I am the night manager, so I do all the night calls, and I take in all the casualties during the night. But really, that's how this place has happened. It's not down to me. It's not down to one person. It's down to a whole community of people who care about having a place that whatever happens, they can turn up with any animal, and that animal gets sorted out.
And I think there's a lot. I hope I'm not giving too much away by saying this. There's a lovely little bit in the book about lady does the veg run and collects all the food for the animals, and it kind of really gives you an insight into all the work and all the help that people put in, and it is amazing. It is amazing, but it's been built, this community, by
Yeah, well, I mean, if I have one skill, I would say it's the skill of knowing the right person for the right job. So you kind of see that person that's got a hunger for fundraising, or that hunger for the hospital room, or for, so when I see that, and then I'll invest everything in that person to make sure that person does incredible things for animals. Yeah, I mean, what people are doing at the moment for the retreat is amazing. There are all sorts of people. There are people out there that do veterinary runs for us, pick up injured wildlife, collect the old newspaper, drop off a few rolls of rubbish sacks and kitchen roll for our hospital. People turn up with bags of apricot jam, because we use apricot jam in our medications for our farm animal residents. So, for instance, we've got 160 pigs, and if we have 30 of them on medication, the medication's put in a little apricot jam sandwich. And so there's these people that do all those things that keep us ticking over. But then there's people, there's one young woman Abby, incredible woman. She was only 21 at this time. She raised an amazing £30,000 for the centre in 1 year. So there's something for everyone. If you can't fundraise, you can do transport runs. If you can't do transport runs, you can buy us a few tins of food when you go shopping, or you save your newspaper. There is something for everyone, and I think that's what people find at the retreat. They find their thing.
Yeah. And if you can't donate or do a veg run, you could be one of the speakers, come here and talk about, if you're maybe a vegan food blogger, you could teach people how to do things. There's always a way to contribute. I think one of the things you learn from Billy's book is, because so many people go, well, I haven't got an animal sanctuary. But you learn from reading his books that there's so many ways that you can help animals. You don't have to have a sanctuary. Yeah,
don't wait to win the lottery. I say to people, don't wait to win the lottery to help animals. Do what you can now. And we can only all do what we can do. So this didn't happen overnight, this place. People come in and they think, oh, this is incredible. But actually it didn't happen overnight, and it started off in my tiny little flat. And, so that's what we want to tell everybody. Do what you can today for animals.
Yeah.
Don't wait to win the lotto.
I think the motto that they have here is everywhere, printed everywhere, is be kind, it's easy. Because kindness breeds kindness. And that's what happened to you at the retreat. And then that's what happens when you educate other people about animals. There's someone sitting not too far away from us who shot our documentary, who many years ago really wasn't an animal lover. And then this week rang me and said, I've just rescued a pigeon in our place of work. It was stuck in the roof. So it just shows that education and compassion can breed and spill through to other people.
Yeah, definitely.
Jodie, Billy, the work that's going on at the retreat is just incredible, and I urge everyone to go and support, and also to watch the documentary. It would be great if you could just close us out by directing some folks into what they need to do and where they need to head to find out more. And obviously, I'll put links in the show notes as well, so people can head there and support.
Yeah, I mean, the Petting Farm documentary is on my Instagram, Green Vegan One. It's on the retreat's Instagram. It's on TikTok. It's on Facebook. So there's an animal charity that have put it out as well. So they've shared it. So it's that we use a hashtag Petting Farm Truth. And it actually comes up if you search that hashtag. You can ask the retreat, you can ask Billy, you can ask me, you can ask, anyone.
Yeah. And come and visit the retreat. I mean, it's free of charge, ample parking. You can bring your dog on a lead. You'll, especially as a vegan, to see our happy residents. It cements things for you. It's good R&R. It's kind of that thing that will ensure that you're not burnt out. You don't feel isolated, because that's something. Sometimes there's only one vegan in a family, but actually you'll talk to everybody when you arrive at the retreat, and there'll be people to talk to you and support your journey and make sure you stick it out.
Yeah, that is one thing I do think that Billy does fantastically. He doesn't just help animals, he helps people help animals, because animal rescue and veganism and this whole thing can be a bit, I don't want to use the word depressing, but people get so upset because they can't handle things that go on, and that's where Billy and this community come in to help make them stronger so they can continue to do good work for what we need to do.
Yeah, I think there's nothing better than cuddling a cow, tickling a turkey, is there? Scratching a pig's belly. I mean, whatever's going on in your life, once you've done these things, your day can only be happy, can't it?
Yeah.
It can only be happy.
Billy's nighttime routine exists to go around giving as many animals a kiss goodnight as he can.
Yeah, it's just nothing like it.
Well, thank you both so much for all you do, and thank you for coming on the show and telling us a little bit about the documentary and a bit about the retreat. As I said, just go and support to all the folks listening and watching. Thank you.
Thanks
so much, Jim.